Well, that is another thing that is a fucking problem because they still don't believe our placements.
It's so bad, dude. Oh god, I hate this shit so much. The worst part about it is that like people will look at this and go, see, government sucks, privatize it or whatever. When in fact, it is the only reason why it's as bad is one, because it's underfunded, and two, because we have an inherently reactionary approach to immigration in this fucking country due to white nativist immigration policies.
I have had it up to here with U.S. immigration. I want there to be no confusion. I think the U.S. immigration process is a laughable, pathetic joke. In fact, it's not laughable because I'm not giggling. You don't see me spitting up with a smile on my face, kicking my feet in my high chair. It is terrible. Pardon my French, but it is poop. It is so unbelievably horrible. In particular, I am angry at one individual. Just one specific individual. The U.S. immigration agent that's handling our case. But this individual is infamous in the esports scene for declining teams and people for the most ridiculously stupid reasons imaginable.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Fuck, dude. For a second, I was like, what the fuck? He has the black shirt on, too? Like, god damn. Base Charlie, open borders. Borders are a scar on the face of this planet type shit. He's hitting the Giannis Varoufakis line. I don't know what the hell's going on here for a second. And then it's about his esports team, which, I mean, I'm sure there's like more energy beyond it, you know?
A month ago, I made a video kind of going over the basics of what I'm going to be diving into deeper today. In a nutshell, our esports team, Moist Esports, has an Apex roster. And we're—
yeah, Maoist third world is moistest. Yeah, more like moist third world is, baby. Not even Maoist third world is, moist third world is.
One of the best in the world. We are currently ranked 4th in A, with still another whole series to play. We're still a whole series behind the people around us, and we're still top 4. We're a fucking outrageous squad of maniacs out there. Some of the best talent Apex has ever seen. Our team came from Australia. Our plan—
damn, they're actually that good? That's like shocking. The fuck? That's kind of sick, dude. What the fuck? That's cool as hell. Anyway, let's continue.
For the season was to bring them to NA, where the competition is more fierce. NA is a powerhouse in Apex. So we brought them over to NA, and then at the very last second got rejected by US immigration, and they were declined entry into this country. So we had the last second pivot, change all of our plans, and get them to Canada so they could still play this split. So they're currently in Canada, and we've been actively trying to get them to the US. And I cannot overstate how much of a nuisance it was to get that—
yeah, wait till we find out one of the Aussies is like Muslim or some shit and has like family members in Gaza or something, and that's the reason why they're fucking actively preventing the entire team from coming in. I'm not saying that that is the case, but I suspect that like in a lot of instances, especially when it's like visas for talent, like talent visas, let's be real, especially from Australia, there has to be a secondary reason for it. And one that most likely would be, you know, something very sad.
Rejection when we did. Because it came at the very end of an extremely long, drawn-out, tedious process where just out of nowhere they decided to flip the switch saying, nope, actually, they're not welcome here. Declined. And there's nothing we could have done.
Or it's just probably because like esports is not recognized still by many of the government as like a valid athletic visa.
To rectify it or change it, they just decided they didn't like us anymore, so they declined it fundamentally with no real reason. And since this is such a slow process, I swear to God, it might be one of the slowest things on the planet. U.S. immigration moves slower than Robert De Niro and The Irishman. It is fucking disgraceful how awful the optimization is for this process. So all we could do was get them to Canada so they could still play this split here in NA like we had planned on. And while they're doing that, we're still trying to get them to the US. Now, initially we didn't really understand why they were declined. All we knew is this sometimes happens in the esports scene. My little tinfoil hat theory was that the agent was afraid of Waltzy. Waltzy is one of our players, one of the best in the world, and he also happens to be a powerlifter. So perhaps they were just worried that he'd pose a national security risk for being too strong, that he'd go around snapping Americans in half. All we could do was really speculate and resubmit, which we did.
Could be anti-China. I don't know if they have Chinese players. That's another thing.
And now we've received a response from the resubmission forms, and after going through everything with lawyers and making sure it is as buttoned up as possible with all of the best in the industry, I am happy to say we are—
anyone that interacts with U.S. immigration is immediately radicalized against it. That and also healthcare. Like every aspect of our every normal part of the government and the way that it operates in the incredibly idiotic, restrictive ways that it fucking operates unironically is a radicalizing factor for so many. The only people, the reason why the American government gets away by not doing anything is because most people don't deal with it. Most voters don't deal with it. Because if you're like some dude living in fucking Missouri sending me death threats about how you better not step foot inside of Missouri, boy, I'll kill your ass. You know what I mean? Then you probably don't have relatives that are fucking immigrating into the country or had to deal with the fucking gross visa process. You know what I mean? That's what it is. You really hate Missouri? I don't. But, you know, Josh Hawley, come on. It doesn't give me a lot to love, all right?
Still fucking struggling because the agent is a geriatric fossil that is absolutely just out for some kind of vendetta. I think they might just hate the word moist. That's probably a very real possibility. But they have asked us to submit even more evidence and even more clarification on things, which ordinarily I would have no problem with. But we've already done this once. We did this song and dance last time, only to get rejected many weeks after doing that. This isn't a fast process. If it was fast, I wouldn't care. I'd be like, oh, okay, you need more papers, more documents, more clarification. Fine, we can provide all of that tomorrow and hopefully hear from you in the next day or two. That's not how it works. Because after we do submit all of those, you know, further appeals for evidence, it takes weeks, multiple weeks, for them to respond, and they barely fucking look at what you submit, I feel. In the last video, I mentioned that our agent didn't believe us that we were placing so high, and they didn't bother to look into it at all. Well, that is another thing that is a fucking problem, because they still don't believe our placements.
It's so bad, dude. Oh, God, I hate this shit so much. The worst part about it is that, like, people will look at this and go, see, government sucks, privatize it or whatever. When in fact, it is the only reason why it's as bad is one, because it's underfunded, and two, because we have an inherently reactionary approach to immigration in this fucking country due to white nativist immigration policies that even the Brandon camp is actually pushing for now. Just remember that.
Our team crushes it at the majors, and we were number 12 at the World Championship. And one of the things they need clarification on is why they should believe us that those placements are real or important. You rat bastard, what do you mean? We are submitting the official standings, the official placements for these majors and the World Championship. What do you mean you don't trust that? What?
Yeah, the more I listen to it, the more I feel like it's not due to like some other externalities, like, oh, there's a Muslim player or there's a Chinese player or some shit with like family members that they think is like bad, but instead just straight up it's esports and they don't fucking get it. So they're just boomers behaving like fucking boomers. I'm on immigration side for this. Yeah, I've decided it. They made a good choice here.
Actually, I wasn't there, so I didn't. This must be a fucking lie. Fly yourself out to the next fucking major and watch us then. Like, what do you mean? It's crazy how they can just pull that out of their ass. Like, oh, why?
Abi Dark Vibe olanı abartıyorsun. Yaptığın tek şey oturup bütün gün reddetlemek. Bunun etik olduğunu düşünüyorsan otur adamla konuş. Ha istemiyorsan yeter artık uğraşma. Oğlum senin ananın amını sikeyim. Ben bu adamla ilgili ağzımı bir kere bile açmadım. Sadece o devamlı bıt bıt bıt bıt bıt konuşuyor. İnanamıyorum yani. Bunu böyle yaptığına inanamıyorum. Buraya gelip böyle söylediğine. Gerçekten. Artık konuşma adamla ilgili mi? Adamla ilgili benim ağzımdan çıkan bir tane laf bulamazsın internette. Bir tane video bulamazsın gerizekalı herif. Git o adamın videolarına bak ama 30 tane video yapmıştır. İnanamıyorum yani. Düşük IQ'lu salak herif. Gelmiş bana sanki ben devamlı konuşuyorum adamla ilgili konuşuyorsun. İnanamıyorum yani bunu dediğine. Yemin ediyorum inanamıyorum. Ya bu kadar salak olabilir mi bir insan ya? Yuh.
Why should we believe the official standings? Ridiculous. You thought you could pull fast one on U.S. immigration? No, sir. It's so stupid. It's so fucking stupid. But that's not the one I want to get hung up on. I'm actually going to just read this to you for...
No shade against Charlie, but this sounds like rich people problems. Bro, come on. This literally happens to rich people. It happens 1,000 times worse to poor people. That's the whole point. Like, you can look at this content and go, damn, this shit even impacts rich people. As a rich person, I've fucking talked about healthcare and how dog shit it is in this country, while also simultaneously contrasting it with like how much more dog shit it is for people who don't have money. That's what you have to remember. Also, like, the dudes playing Apex are not rich. Like,
verbatim. I'm not going to show you it because that might be a legal issue, but I absolutely just have to put this out here. I feel like I'm in the loony...
That's the thing that most people don't understand. Like, this is rich people shit is a way to like cast aside problems that only impact rich people, okay? This is not a problem that impacts rich people on average. This is a problem that impacts normal people, poor people. That if a rich person has a hard time with this process, then think about how much worse it is for normal people, everyday people, poor people.
dimension reading this shit. I am convinced that there's not a human being on the other side of this conversation. I believe that our lawyers have been contacted and communicating with Cleverbot, who is for some reason representing the U.S. Immigration Services. It is so outrageously dumb. So you're going to need a little context behind this before getting into it. So when bringing the team to the land of the free, home of the brave, we were instructed to have a high-ranking EA official kind of glaze us to help convey to the U.S. Immigration Services that our team is internationally significant to this scene. Now, when it comes to getting teams over here, this is what every esports org has to do. They have to...
Charlie's American with lawyers and rich trying to get Aussie into the U.S. and he's struggling. Imagine a poor person with no money and doesn't speak English. Yeah, literally. The only benefit in that situation is that the poor person coming from a country that doesn't see 3 minutes ads at the top of the hour. That's the only time where those who are in developing nations actually get a big W here, where they don't have to actually subscribe at the top of the hour to see a 3-minute ad break. The comments on the video say illegal at fault. How can people be so dumb? I'm convinced the U.S. government is held together by flex tape. It's absolutely awful. My wife in the Philippines and I got married last year. Every single one of our family members tried to get a tourist visa to come to the wedding. Were denied for no real reason given. I'm not seeing that. I mean, you guys said like it's mostly illegals, but it doesn't seem like it. Because guess what? America is a very diverse nation, filled to the fucking brim with people whose family lineages can be traced back to other countries. Okay? So a lot of Americans actually do get impacted by the ridiculous immigration process in this fucking nation. Chatter lied to get you to look at the comments? Yeah. At the top of the hour, you should be looking at the subscription button because it's coming for you, the 3-minute ad break. That is, of course, if you no longer want to see those ads, like I said, all you need to do is subscribe for $5 or for free. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. Took me about 2 years to move here just to marry my wife is insane. Yeah, it's really fucked up.
Convince the immigration services that their team is highly competitive, a top team that is worthy to come over here and start bleeding cheeseburgers like a true red-blooded American. So that's what we were doing, and we had a high-ranking EA individual kind of talking on our behalf. And again, this is something that the U.S. Immigration Services, wanted. They didn't fucking believe that he's actually a real official. So let me read this to you. Written statement from an official of the sports governing body, which is who we were talking to. You may submit evidence from an official of the sports governing body describing how the athlete or team is internationally recognized. The evidence you submitted is insufficient. You submitted a testimonial from, redacted, I'm not going to drop their name, about the beneficiaries, redacted, is a senior manager at Electronic Arts, EA. But USCIS cannot determine that his position is considered an official of a governing body in esports. Additionally, he mentioned that the beneficiaries have had high placements in several competitions in the ALGS Year 3 season. However, USCIS cannot determine how the placements constitute as international reputation. As previously discussed, ALGS does not appear to require athletes or teams with international reputation to participate in the competitions. As such, there's insufficient evidence to demonstrate that having such placements in ALGS competitions...
Bro, it's wild getting disrespected by the U.S. immigration like this, being like, sorry, dog, your boys ain't shit. They ain't got it like that. Turns out the guy's a real fucking esports head. Yeah, he said Mickey Mouse rings. He's like a real esports guy. He's like, Apex is not a real fucking esport, dog. Sorry. You know, talk to me about your league team, okay? When they get some dubs.
Competitions equate to international reputation. You may still submit evidence to satisfy this criterion. I'm going to have a conniption. Excuse me. Still playing with cash registers, huh, Squiddy? What kind of place is this? You wanted us to prove that our placements were real, and we had a high-ranking EA, who, of course, they own Apex, represents that side, talk on our behalf to confirm that the placements are real. But you don't believe that that official, whom you even cite their position in this statement, actually represents them? Is actually part of the official governing body of the esport? How can you not believe them? You even cite their position in your statement, a position that constitutes the esports side. What do you mean? And then you say that the placements don't necessarily mean international reputation? What the fuck does then? How could any team possibly get into the country through this game if even the highest placements don't constitute international reputation to satisfy your criterion? It doesn't make any fucking sense. The agent here is well known in the esports scene because we've talked to numerous other orgs. And all of them have had to deal with this person, and all of them have horror stories about them. So much so that the majority of them have found ways to circumvent ever having to deal with them and going through other people. That is how bad at their job this person is. A job that is extremely important and carries a lot of weight for so many people, and this absolute brain-dead goober can't be bothered to do the bare minimum of just activating a few neurons up here to even process what the fuck they're saying, or what they're asking for. And when we submit the evidence that satisfies sufficiently what they want, they still are not accepting it for inexplicable reasons. That is not a reason what they've given there. How can you not believe that one of the highest ranking officials at EA for this area is not trustworthy?
Dude hates movement shooters, bro. He's like, nah, dude, play a real game like CSGO.
Or insufficient, or doesn't represent.
Like, talk to me when you're playing Valorante child game.
The governing body. That is mind-bogglingly silly. It has to be malicious. It has to be malicious. No one can be this stupid on accident and have this job. Again,
Yes,
this is a job that is extremely important. And you have someone this incompetent there? I don't believe it. This has to be on purpose. Not only have we been working with lawyers who specialize in this area, but we have been working with other orgs who have successfully gone through this process, albeit it seems they've done it with other individuals. Not this fucking womp from Super Mario 64 that we've unfortunately been cursed with over there at the US Immigration Office. This is craziness. How one person can just say, I just don't really feel like bothering to look into this at all, so I'm just going to say you're lying. I'll ask for more evidence and then not read it, and fuck you. That's absolute insanity. Even when we fulfill it to a T and bring in an extremely high-ranking EA official to speak on our behalf to our achievements in the scene, they still won't even accept that. What else can we do? Like, what else is there to do besides just somehow get a different agent, resubmit again, and pray, fingers crossed, we don't encounter this scourge? It's just ridiculous. I had to rant about this again after I was shown why we've been requested further information for the fucking, like, third time now, after being rejected. Like, it's... Oh, my lord. What in tarnation?
Yep, immigration is broken, dude. Fucking broken. It's so bad. And think about it this way. It's bad for fucking Charlie. Like, an American small business owner, an entrepreneur, a very successful person